So I want you to think back to your last performance review. You walked in confident, you had your receipts, projects delivered on time, goals exceeded, problems solved that nobody else could. Maybe you even had a folder documenting every accomplishment, ready to make your case. And then you got the rating meets expectation. Your stomach dropped. Your face stayed professional, but inside you were doing the math. You stayed late, you took on extra projects, you covered for colleagues who did not show up, and this is what meets expectation looks like. Meanwhile, that James from accounting who leaves at 5 p.m. sharp and whose biggest contribution was a pivot table somehow exceeds expectation. If you've lived this moment, I need you to hear this clearly. You did not fail. The system failed to see you. And today I'm going to show you exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can do about it before your next review. I am Dr. Betty, founder of Rise with Betty, and after working with hundreds of professional women navigating this exact frustration, I discovered something that changed everything. Performance reviews are not actually measuring your performance. Stay with me. Because once you understand what they are really measuring, you will never approach a review the same way again. So let's start with a question that might feel uncomfortable. What if performance reviews was never designed objectively to measure your work? I know we're going to say they told us they are fair, we are told they are standardized, we are told the rubric ensures everybody is evaluated equally. But here is what the research actually shows. A landmark study on performance review found that 62% of variance in your rating can be attributed to the individual rater, not your actual performance. So let me say that again. Who reviews you explains more of your rating than what you actually did. Think about that for a moment. You could do identical work to a colleague, but if you have a different manager with different biases, different moods, or different relationships with you, you will get a different rating. This isn't a flaw in the system. This is the system. So if performance reviews are not primarily measuring performance, what are they measuring? After years of studying this through research and through real experience of women I've worked with and myself, I've identified a formula that explains what actually happens. I call it the 30-30-25-15 formula. And understanding this is your first step to finally getting the rating you deserve. So here is how performance review rating is actually determined. 30% is your actual performance, which is the work you did, the results you delivered, the goals you met or exceeded. Yes, only 30%. I know that's hard to hear. You've been told your whole career that results speak for themselves. Work hard, deliver excellence, and you'll be rewarded. But here is the reality. Excellence alone gets you 30% of the way there. The other 70%, let me show you what's actually filling that gap. So the next 30% is perception and visibility. This is not about whether you did great work. It's about whether the right people know that you did great work. So here is a scenario I see constantly. A woman delivers a critical project in Q1. It's excellent work. It saves the company money, solves a real problem. But by Q4, when ratings are decided, that project is a distant memory. Her manager vaguely remembers it very well, but the details are fuzzy. Meanwhile, her colleague delivers a similar but smaller project in October, right before reviews. It's fresh, it's visible, and it gets weighted more heavily. This is called the recency effect, one of the most documented biases in performance evaluation. What you did last month often matters more than what you did 9 months ago. Not because it's more valuable, but because it's more memorable. So here is where it gets trickier. Visibility requires self-promotion. You have to make sure that your work is seen by people who influence your rating. But here is the catch. You don't get treated equally for it. For some, self-promotion is leadership. For others, it's not being a team player. That double standard is exactly what makes this 30% so tricky to navigate. The next 25% of your performance review rating comes from relationship quality. This is the relationship with your direct manager and key stakeholders who influence your rating. And before you think, this is about being fake or playing politics. No, it's not. It's about basic human psychology. We are not objective evaluators. No. When we like someone, we interpret their action more charitably. And when we don't, we interpret the same action more critically. This is called the halo effect, and it's incredibly well documented. So if your manager trusts you, feels comfortable with you, and sees you as one of us, they will remember your wins more vividly and explain away your misses. But if that relationship is weaker, the opposite happens. Your misses are remembered, your wins are minimized. This does not make managers bad people, it just makes them human. But it does mean that your relationship with your manager and your rater is directly affecting your rating, independent of your actual work. And the final 15% of a performance review rating comes from political position. This is about your alignment with the organizational priorities and power structures. Are you working on projects that matter to senior management and senior leadership? Are you connected to people who actually influence decisions? Are you seen as aligned with the company or aligned with where the company is going? Here is the most important thing that people don't think about: the calibration session. In most organizations, after managers submit their initial rating, leaders meet to compare rating across teams. And here is your reality: if your manager does not have enough political capital, they cannot fight for your rating. Someone with less powerful advocates might get downgraded, not because their work was worse, but because their champion in the room wasn't strong enough. Political position is invisible, but it matters. And it's one of the reasons your performance can be undervalued, no matter how excellent your work is. Now look at this formula. If you're focusing all your energy on just the first 30%, so just doing excellent work, you'll be optimizing for less than a third of the outcome. You could be a perfect performer and still get a mediocre rating because you've only been playing 30% of the game. The women who consistently get the ratings they deserve, they're not necessarily working harder than you. No, they're working on all 4 factors: performance, visibility, relationship quality, and political position. So here is where it gets even more complicated. Everything I just described, it's hard for everyone, but for many professional women, especially those navigating additional dynamics around race, culture, and background, there is an extra layer. This is where the advancement tax I talked about in my other video shows up directly in your performance review. So let me connect the dots. The credibility gap tax affects the perception component of your rating. Remember the 30% that is about visibility and perception. When your credibility is not automatically assumed, your work is viewed through a more skeptical lens. Research shows that identical work is evaluated differently depending on who produced it. So when your contribution are scrutinized more closely, small imperfections get magnified. When a colleague's work is given the benefit of the doubt, similar imperfection gets overlooked. The result: you might have done equal or better work, but it wasn't perceived equally. And the perception makes up 30% of your rating. The visibility tax creates a catch-22. You need visibility to score well on that perception component. And here is the trap: self-promotion is judged differently for different people. Studies consistently shows that women who self-promote face likability penalties that men don't. The same behavior that is seen as confidence in men is often labeled as arrogant or not a team player in you, a woman. So you're stuck. Don't promote your work and it's invisible. Promote it and you might be penalized for how you promoted it. This impossible balancing act drains energy and often leads to women under-promoted. So what's the result? Their work is not seen and their perception score suffers. So the navigation tax drains energy from relationship building. Remember the 25% that is about relationship quality. Building those relationships takes time and energy. But if you're spending significant energy navigating dynamics your colleagues do not face, like code switching, managing microaggressions, carefully calculating how you come across, that's energy that you're not spending on strategic relationship building. Your colleague gets to focus on building rapport, while you're focused on survival, and then you're both judged on the same relationship scale. The sponsorship tax directly affects political position. That's the final 15% of your rating, which depends partly on having advocates in the calibration room. But if you have less access to sponsors, people who will actively fight for your rating, you're at a disadvantage in those closed-door conversations. Many women have mentors, few have sponsors. But what's the difference? Mentors give you advice, sponsors take action. And in calibration meetings, you need someone taking action on your behalf. I'm not telling you this to make you feel helpless. I'm telling you this because you cannot fix a problem you don't understand. You've probably been blaming yourself, thinking you needed to work harder, do more, be better. But the issue was never your work. The issue is that you're fighting a battle on one front while the war is being waged on 4 fronts. So now let's talk about what you can actually do about this. The good news: now you understand the formula. You can strategize strategically address each factor. For perception and visibility, this means building systems to keep your work visible all year round, not just at the review time. Monthly visibility briefs, strategic updates to stakeholders, ensuring your wins are documented where they will be remembered. For relationship quality, this means intentionally investing in your manager and key stakeholder, not just when you need something or consistently. Regular check-ins, proactive communication, building trust before you ever need to spend it. For political positions, this means understanding calibration dynamics and cultivating sponsors, not just mentors who will advocate for you when you're not in the room. And yes, you still need to do excellent work, but now you do it strategically on projects that matters to people who matter. This is not about gaming the system or being inauthentic. It's about refusing to let invisible factors determine your career trajectory. So I've created something to help you put this into action. It's called the Performance Review Task Calculator. It's a free 30-question diagnostic that shows exactly where you're losing ground across all 4 factors. It identifies which of the 5 advancement taxes is most affecting your review rating, so you know precisely where to focus your energy. You walk away with a personalized score, a stakeholder map, a 30-day action plan for the 90 days before the next review. You can download it for free at risewithbetty.com, and the link is also in the description. But if you want a complete system, the 90-day positioning strategy, visibility template, manager conversation script, and stakeholder mapping tools, that's all in the Rise Performance Review Strategy ebook. Is the playbook for transforming meet expectation into exceed expectation. So before I go, I want you to remember this. Your rating has never reflected the worth. It reflects a combination of factors, many of which you were not even aware of until today. That's not your failure. That's a system that did not give you the full picture. Now you have it, and knowing the game means that you can finally start winning it. You've been doing excellent work for years. It's time to get that work recognized and getting the recognition it deserves. If this video helped you think more clearly about your career, subscribe to this channel for more honest conversations about growth, clarity, and navigating complex spaces. This is Rise with Betty. Until next time, advance with clarity.